go. So
All right.
It's Jen and Danielle,
Hey,
and we're here to talk
about real estate. And we've got Peter with us today. Peter is a photographer, correct?
Correct. Most days.
And yeah, Peter takes a lot of pictures for us for listings. Yes. And we're going to talk about how important it is to take pictures.
Well, your online presence is so important these days because, as you guys know, nobody is putting pictures in the paper anymore. We're not doing ads on the paper, so a lot of times what we do is a lot of social media and lots of photos on the MLS because the more the merrier. We don't have any limits now.
We used to.
So we will hire photographer Peter to go out to the homes, and he takes pictures. And he also does floor plans and video tours, so...
It's a lot of fun.
It is.
So what is the biggest tip that you have for homeowners when we say that you're going to be coming to take pictures at their house?
Well, to be ready, for one. And I know it's not easy for people to get ready for showings and photography, but I guess my biggest advice would be to wait until you're completely ready and then have the photographer come in. Because there's a lot less moving and having to be hectic about it.
Right.
I understand that that's not always realistic, and I'm always fine with people being there. My preference is that they're not there. It just makes things go a lot more smoothly. But again, since COVID, a lot of people are working from home, and it's just the reality. It's how it is now.
And Peter can go through our lockbox system, so he pays for that service just like realtors do. So he's able to go through the electronic lockbox and go in and take pictures. So homeowners do not have to be home.
Yeah, so it is a convenience. I like being able to get into the electronic lockboxes. It's huge. It's worth the money to belong and to the association and pay dues for that. So it's a good tool to have.
So your biggest tip is to be ready, make sure all your projects are done so they're not running around, following you around.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I usually try to schedule you like a couple days before we're going to go live anyway, so you should be ready. You're going to have people coming through your house anyway, so get ready, get the pictures, throw them online, make it live.
Is there anything that homeowners do that drives you nuts that's a no-no? What they should not do?
Let their dog follow me around. That's one that comes to mind. Again, the dogs.
Because you're trying to keep the dog out of the picture.
Yeah. Cats are a different story. Cats can be photoshopped out. Most cats hide under beds and stay out of your way. There's that. I don't know. What else drives me nuts? House isn't clean and ready to go. That can be kind of a nuisance. But yeah, I don't run into that very often. My clients are all very diligent about having their sellers ready. So
I know we give a sheet to our clients for the most part, like here's some tips, make sure all this stuff is done before the photographer comes. So that's helpful.
Once in a while there's a horror story, but nothing horrible, just like...
Well, let's hear some of them.
Yeah, tell us a story.
One time I walked into a listing and I went to photograph the bedroom, and there was some bare feet hanging out of the covers, and a bunch of prescription drugs on the floor.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Were they alive?
Yeah. I actually was on the phone with my client when this happened, and I said, "There's someone in the bed," and they said, "Get out now."
Oh my gosh! That wasn't.
They weren't sure if it was a squatter or the seller.
Oh, yikes.
But it was, so once in a while there's a horror story like that. I have also been to listings where the agent or the seller will walk through with me and like knock on people's bedroom doors to wake them up so I can photograph their room. And one of them came out of the room and said, "Hurry."
Oh, geez.
So that happens not very often, but it has happened.
You know, as agents, when we're showing houses, we always have funny stories. So
what are some of yours?
Well, I always think of one that one of our realtors from our office told me, and we were going to look at investment properties. And it was a rental, but they're still supposed to be notified of the showings. And when she knocked on the door and went to open it, because usually, I usually will knock and say hello just to make sure that they know that we're there, because not everyone always gets the message, or one seller approves it but didn't tell his wife, or vice versa. And the door slammed back and hit her in the head, and the guy started yelling and swearing at her and her client to get the hell off the property. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was pretty violent.
Wow.
But she's all right.
Yeah.
But
I don't have any crazy stories. There's been people that haven't left for a showing. I mean, there was actually, when I was buying my home, just sat in their living room and just watched us walk around, and then occasionally would
That's
follow
always
us. And it's like,
awkward.
now I feel like this is your home, and I can't picture myself buying it because
right.
this is your
Or
place.
if you're
not mine.
uncomfortable opening up your closet door when you're standing right there.
One funny thing that happened is one of the sellers, a seller collected and made her own dollhouses, and so one of her requests of me was to photograph the individual rooms in the dollhouse. So I'm used to taking pictures of bedrooms.
Yeah.
But like, I've never dollhouse bedrooms. That was a first for me.
Wow.
So I had to get in there and photograph the little tiny bedrooms.
Did she want that just for herself, or did she want it
I
on
think
her
so.
listing?
Yeah. That would have been, yeah.
So tell us about this. A lot of people may have heard about Matterport, which
Yeah.
became pretty popular during COVID. So basically kind of like a virtual tour. But what's the difference between a Matterport and the old virtual tour we used to have?
Well, Matterport is interactive, where you can click and drag and zoom in, zoom out, spin around, and
Kind of
go
look
in-
up and down too,
Yeah,
right?
basically walk through a house on an iPad or a phone, and then you can also zoom out to dollhouse mode and spin the house around, so you can see. Speaking of dollhouses, so you can see individual rooms, and then you can click and go in there, and it's just really a cool tool. It's been great, especially during COVID when people didn't want to visit houses. It's also useful for potential buyers who live out of town and need to buy a sight unseen.
Right.
And we were just talking before we started the video that, sorry, look at me with the camera,
Cutting your taco.
vigorously eating over
Yeah,
here,
get it
per
crunchy.
Yeah,
usual.
I gotta get a crunching.
French count.
Yeah, I'm never afraid to eat on camera. And I just rewatched one of our videos we're gonna be posting, and the acceleration at which I chew is quite nerve-wracking for me to watch. Because I'm always like, what if I bit my tongue? I would literally bite the whole tongue off at how fast I'm chewing.
These are good.
But what was I just gonna say now? I lost my train of thought when the camera started to wiggle.
Matterport, and we
Matterport.
talked about before.
Oh, he also uses it for he doesn't just have clients that are realtors. He has clients that are remodelers and new construction. So a lot of our new construction homes, we will have him do a Matterport, because once that home sells, we want to be able to show future clients maybe that particular fireplace or the layout of that home, and they're able to go in after it's closed and see what the tour looked like, see that floor plan. So it's a very useful tool, not just for realtors, but also for remodelers and new construction clients as well.
And the Matterport camera software can also produce files for architects to measure and do renovations and such inside spaces.
Because that's the other thing it does, is it will make an actual floor plan.
Right.
So if you just want the floor plan without all the furniture and stuff in it, you can do that too, with all the measurements.
Yep. So it's really broadened my horizons. Like immediately when I got the camera, I was busy and people wanted it, and it's really kind of cool.
Yeah. How long have you been a photographer?
I've been a photographer for over 30 years.
And then within real estate.
Within real estate, I've been doing it for about 7 years.
Okay.
And what made you decide to do that? You just love realtors?
Yeah. Yeah, the advertising world, which I worked in, which was mostly product photography, some portraiture, which I still do some of, but not very much. So it was kind of dying off, and I wasn't very busy. So I was trying to think of a kind of photography that wasn't going away.
Yeah.
And I happened to know a couple of realtors in my neighborhood, and they let me photograph a couple listings for free, just to get my feet wet and try it.
I want
And
that
then-
deal.
And then, yeah, you'll get it. And then that just sort of took off after that. I started getting busy.
Awesome.
Referrals, and I did have to do a lot of cold calling, which I don't like, but it did work. It got me a little bit of business.
Well, one of the nice things that we were talking about too with Peter is when we hire him to go to our sellers' homes, we know who he is. So a lot of the other companies that are out there, you just put your request in online and then they just send a photographer that's available. But you know, at Cardinal, we're all about that personal touch and the relationships that we build. So it's nice to be able to say, Peter, my photographer, will be coming to your home, and know that, you know, he's trustworthy, you know who he is, and that he's going to get along with everybody. So,
And I'm usually available on a last minute basis as well.
Yeah, what was the term you called yourself?
A photo fireman.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't have the pole in my studio, but
not yet.
I'm working on it.
But he does also have a really quick turnaround, so we can expect the pictures back right away, and they always look amazing. People are always so excited to see the pictures
Thank you.
that he takes.
I don't like
does
having
really
things
good
on my
job.
plate very long. It's like tacos, but
Right.
like photos as well. I like to get those out the door while they're sort of fresh in my memory as to
Yeah.
I know what I need to Photoshop.
And if there's parks and different landmarks around, he's really good about going to take pictures of that too, which is obviously location in real estate is huge. So the fact that he'll go that extra mile and take a picture of the park down the road or a lake, that's always a really nice touch too, and I really always appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Peter, for
thank
joining
you.
us for tacos today
Thank you for
and
inviting me. This is great.
taking pictures of our listings.
Absolutely.
Well-
Thank you for all the work.
We usually try to say where we're at today.
Oh, yeah. We should give a shout out. We're at
Yeah.
Boca Chica.
Boca Chica in St. Paul.
It's delicious.
That was
One of my
Peter's
faves.
idea.
One of my faves.
It's delicious.
So check them out.
All right. Well,
Bye,
thank
everybody.
you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for having me.